What's good, YouTube? This is Ken Demetrios, and we're back with another episode of Next Gen Combat Sports TV. And in this episode, I finally done got around to it. We're going to be talking about the UFC 291 fight card. And the only reason I really didn't get around to it is because this was a big week in boxing with the NOA Fulton fight and the Terrence Crawford, Earl Spence, but I just wanted to get around to it. And I also wanted to say I really appreciate everybody that watched my my last NOA Fulton video about him not being a hype job, which I said he's not. Some people in the comments didn't even watch the video and just try to say I thought he was. But that video low-key blew up, and I really appreciate that because I'm a smaller channel, I'm trying to grow, and I got a lot of subscribers from it, so I really appreciate that. But please like, share, and subscribe on this video, and I'm gonna just get straight into it. So in this video, I'm gonna just talk about the two main cards that I'm worried about. Like, there's a lot of people fighting, but I'm just gonna focus on the main ones because I'm more of a hype jobber when it comes to UFC. But ain't nothing wrong with that, you know. You enjoy your sport how you want to. But basically, the main event is Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje, and I think that's gonna be a really good fight. And then the next event, and then the co-main is gonna be Jan Blachowicz, I think that's how you say his name, versus Alex Pereira, which is going to be another big fight and also a fight to kind of shape out how light heavyweight going to be. So I'll go ahead and start with Justin and Dustin. I think this is a big fight for both these guys. And honestly, Dustin Poirier, he's probably like my favorite, or one. He's definitely top three, like my favorite fighters in UFC, maybe ever. Just because like he's always in exciting fights. You know, he's done had his L's, he done bounced back, and he's just so consistent with his work. You know, sometimes things don't pan out for him, but ultimately that's why I like UFC. Like, I like boxing too, but I like UFC because they actually, you know, they still give guys love whenever, you know, they do have a fight and like they might lose. You know, guys still have like a cult following. Like, even on this card, you got Tony Ferguson and Bobby Green. And, you know, I feel like at this point, they're just really waiting on Tony Ferguson just to get starched and for him to retire. But Dana White, with his crazy ass, if you willing to fight, no matter how old you are, he gonna keep throwing you in there. Especially if you, like, got a name behind you and, like, people gonna watch. But, yeah, so Dustin Poirier, you know, he's mainly a striker. He's a very good striker. He's probably, like, one of the best boxers in the UFC. I actually think that if he did go to boxing, he would be pretty decent depending on what weight class he fought in. But I think this fight is going to be great between him and Justin Gaethje, because Justin Gaethje is a very elite fighter too. Well, they're kind of in the same level. Like, they're both elite fighters that just are hard to get over that threshold. And it's kind of different with boxing and UFC, because in UFC, there's only one belt in the weight class. Like, with boxing, you kind of got every single, whoever guy, you know, gets a chance to fight for a vacant title against like another handpicked guy, and they can say, oh, they were world champion. But in UFC, it's literally only one belt. And even this fight between them, they're fighting for like the BMF belt, like the bad belt. And, you know, it's not a real title, but at the same time, you know, they still get a chance to like fight for a belt, and it kind of gives them some sort of recognition. And I'm really, I know I should really not be as biased, but I'm really hoping that Dustin wins, because he's always been like at that level where he's just right there, and then he just kind of comes up short. Like Charles Oliveira, he's one of my favorite fighters in the UFC as well. And when they fought, like, I was just torn. Like, like, I felt bad because like I didn't want either one of them to lose. And I think ultimately at the very end, I still was like leaning towards Charles, because at that point he was like on a hot streak, and he was just rolling, and he was just going through everybody, you know. And you know, his jiu-jitsu was just almost second to none at this point. But Justin got a good chance as well. I think he's also a very good fighter. You know, he got a very good stand-up game. And the thing about UFC is, it's like, you can have whatever technique you want to have, but at the end of the day, like, depending on the type of styles, sometimes you just gonna go in there and throw hands. You're gonna forget about the ground game. You're gonna forget about the clinch game. You're gonna forget about, you know, Muay Thai, elbows and knees and all that stuff. And you're just gonna throw hands. And really, I think that could be that kind of fight. So that's gonna be a very exciting fight, and I can't wait. And I am rooting for Dustin Poirier. So the next fight, which is a kind of crazy fight, which I'm very excited to watch as well, is Jan Blachowicz versus Alex Pereira. And as you all may know, last time we seen Alex Pereira, he was in a fight with Israel Adesanya, and he ended up getting starched. You know, he got starched. You know, Adesanya, he pulled that out, and, you know, that was another one of those fights where I had kind of recently found out about Alex Pereira because I had heard about him, from beating Adesanya, and he was trolling Adesanya and things of that sort. But at the same time, I'm a big fan of his now, and really I'm a fan of his just because of his background. How he came up, and he was actually he used to have like a real bad alcohol addiction, and he ended up getting into mixed martial arts, and that kind of channeled his dark side per se into something more productive. And now you see where he is now. He was in Glory. What was it, Glory, or no? It was another one. I can't remember what it's called right now, but it was like another kickboxing type of event, type of event he was in, and he was really good on there. He was like 2-time world champion, 2 different weight classes, and he's going up against Jan Blachowicz, who was the one who gave Israel Adesanya his only loss in the UFC, and I believe his only loss in mixed martial arts. So that's going to be a good litmus test. The only thing about that fight I'm worried about is Alex Pereira's grapple game. Like when he went up against Adesanya, he was kind of getting muscled. He was getting taken down, and it looked like his gas tank wasn't what it should have been for that fight, which is understandable because he got fast tracked to a championship fight. So he went from fighting 3 5-minute rounds to like 5 5-minute rounds, which is very hard to do, especially if you don't have the stamina to do that. So that was kind of an adjustment for him, and you could really see. And even that first fight, he came out on top, but he was really just getting not obliterated, but he wasn't really winning any rounds against Adesanya. I think you could have maybe gave him 1 round that fight, and then he ended up pulling out the stoppage. But that can show you how much grit and fortitude he had. But with this fight against Jan Blachowicz, like I really, really want Alex Pereira to win. But Jan, he is a very well-rounded fighter. To be that big, he has good striking. He has a good ground game. He's strong. He's broad. I always tell people, like, UFC, and that's another thing. When we come down to boxing, you got this big crowd of people that, the black fighters the best. You go to UFC, boy, you got the Mexicans tearing shit up. You got the Brazilians tearing shit up. You got the Africans going crazy. And then when you get to them bigger weight classes, you better watch them Polish Eastern Europeans, because them white men are dangerous. They big, they strong, and they know what they're doing in there. And so I do want Alex to win, but I can really just see Jan Blachowicz just getting his hands on him and wearing him down. And then even in the stand-up game, I lean towards Alex in the stand-up game because he got a pretty significant size advantage. He's taller, he's longer, he got long legs, and Alex got amazing kicks. That's how he was able to compromise Israel Adesanya. But one thing that is an X factor in that fight that we gotta look at. I was looking on Twitter the other day, and I seen a quote from Adesanya, and Adesanya said that Alex is a harder puncher in this fight. So I think if he can land that left hook and hurt Jan, I think he can end up getting him out of there. But it just depends on how well his stand-up game and his punch resistance translate to that weight. Because one other thing that was kind of speculated was the fact that some people thought that his punch resistance was affected because he walks around it. I think it was quoted that he walks around at about 230 pounds or so. So he was cutting all that weight to make it down to middleweight at UFC, which is 185. So that's a really bad weight cut. Like that takes a toll on your body to where once you're at that weight, your punch resistance could be compromised. So for all we know, and he definitely looked like he had a glass chin against Adesanya. Even the first time he got hurt in the first round, like he looked like he was hurt. And Adesanya's a pretty good puncher. He's a strong puncher, and he's actually probably an underrated puncher. But just the fact that he got hit with the same shot, but the second time it almost just took him out as soon as Israel followed up on him. So I think that's a big factor, and that's something that I'm going to be looking for in this fight to see if his punch resistance can hold up against a light heavyweight, because he do have the added size to back that up. But that's going to be a very, very interesting fight too as well. And, as we all know, this fight is going to be on the same night as the Spence Crawford big boxing pay-per-view fight. So me and my grandpa, we're probably going to go to a bar somewhere and probably watch it that way just so we can catch both fights at the same time. But in any way, I appreciate y'all watching this video. If you enjoy it, please like, comment, let me know what you think. Let me know if you think Jan's going to beat the dog shit out of Alex Pereira because he can't grapple with him, or you think Dustin Poirier or Justin going to win. But I appreciate y'all watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.